Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're back, and we're here for another lesson on author's purpose. So, if you remember, the author's purpose is the reason an author writes a book. So, an author always has a reason to write. Remember, they don't just write to write, they write for a purpose or for a reason. Right. So, authors have a few main reasons or purposes for writing. Remember, one of those is to share information with the reader. The other is to explain something to the reader by giving directions, and that's the one we learned about last week. Another purpose is to entertain the reader, and that's what we're going to learn about in this lesson, is how authors entertain their readers. And the last one we're going to talk about is how authors persuade their readers. But if you can see, my green check marks are there. We've already learned about how authors share information with readers, and we learned about how authors explain or give directions to their readers. Today, we're going to focus on how authors entertain their readers with really fun books. So what does it mean to entertain? What does entertain mean? Let's see. Entertain means to amuse someone, and that word amuse is a little bit hard too. But amuse and entertain just means that it's for fun. So the author could write really silly or fun books, and that entertains you. You read it just for fun. It doesn't really teach you new information, and it doesn't really explain something to you, but it's a just for fun book. And the book that pops in my head when I think of entertain are the Captain Underpants books. I know that a lot of you like to read those just for fun, and that's a just for fun book. Now, just for fun books or books that entertain can be very happy, or I have read some books just for fun that are very sad. They don't really teach me anything or explain anything to me. I read them for fun, but sometimes they're a sad story instead of a happy story. So entertain is not always just happy stories. It's just when the author writes the book for fun. They read it for you to enjoy without really teaching you anything and without really giving you directions to follow. Some examples of books that are of authors, when authors write something to entertain, are fictional stories. Remember that word fictional means that it's not real. So when the author writes a made-up story, that's usually to entertain the readers or a just for fun book. Comics, kind of like Captain Underpants, those are just for fun books. Poems are sometimes just for fun. Now, sometimes poems could teach you something, but a lot of poems are written just for fun. And then, of course, jokes. I love reading jokes books, but those books are read for fun, to entertain me. They're not really read to learn new information or for the author to explain something to me. And last are riddles, which riddles are kind of fun too because you kind of have to guess. So those are written to entertain you just for fun, not to teach you something new and not to explain something to you, but just for you to enjoy for fun, to entertain you. So let's look at an example. And while we're looking at this example, I want you to think, what was the purpose of this example? I'll read it to you. This is a poem, and it's called My Sister Cut My Hair. I had to get a haircut. It was looking much too long. I let my sister cut it. I mean, what could she do wrong? She clipped some bald spots here and there. She whacked the sides a little. And then she shaved a 3-inch stripe directly down the middle. She topped some sections super short, left others long and wild, then shaved one eyebrow off before she looked at me and smiled. I don't think that I'll let her give me haircuts anymore. Or maybe I'll just wait a little, at least until she's 4. So I thought that this poem was so much fun to read. It's about a character who lets his sister give him or her a haircut, and she cuts it all crazy. There's a 3-inch stripe down the middle, so it's kind of like a mohawk. There's sides that are short and sides that are very long. She cut off the character's eyebrow. I mean, if my sister did that to me, I would be so upset. And then if we read this line here at the bottom, Or maybe I'll just wait a while, at least until she's 4. So that part of the poem tells me that this character let his 3-year-old sister cut his hair. Oh my goodness, what a silly poem. If you had a 3-year-old brother or sister, would you let them cut your hair? I know that I wouldn't, because it would probably be a silly haircut, just like in the poem. So now that we've read this really silly, fun poem about a character that lets his little sister cut his hair, I want you to think, what was the author's purpose in writing this poem? Remember, we've learned about to share information, we've learned about to explain, and we've learned about to entertain. So why do you think the author wrote this poem? I'll give you just a second to think. All right, so let's talk about it. In this poem, did it teach us anything new, like in the cheetah video? Remember the cheetah video when it taught us all about cheetahs? Did this poem teach us anything new? No way. Okay, let's think about the recipe. Do you guys remember the chocolate chip cookie recipe? Did this poem have us follow directions like in the chocolate chip cookie recipe? Nope, it didn't have us follow any directions. Now let's think what we just learned about to entertain. Did this poem entertain us? Did you think it was silly or fun to read? Absolutely. This was a hilarious poem that was so much fun to read. So in this lesson, you're going to learn more about when authors write to entertain the readers. And then after this lesson, we have one more lesson on author's purpose, and we're going to learn about when authors write to persuade their readers. So during this lesson, you're going to read lots of entertaining, fun stories, and you need to think, why did the author write this? To inform, to explain, or to entertain. Those are the 3 that we've learned about so far. All right, I hope you guys have a great job with it. I hope you guys have a great time doing this lesson, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, boys and girls.